as if they contemplated the possibility that Congress might not otherwise meet that often. They didn't necessarily contemplate that the federal government would be involved in as many aspects of everyone's life.
これ流しとくから
Today it would be
じっくり見とけ。
considered unthinkable that Congress would ever
二度と見られなくなるぞ。二度と見られなくなるぞ。こういうの。二度と見られなくなるぞ。こういうの。笑い声ないかな。Facebook を見る流すから。以上。
Sometimes people start to forget that we don't have a single national election system in this country. We instead have 50 different states, each with their own election laws. Some of those have been modified by federal law. But for the most part, each election system is a creation of state law. State laws that, for the most part, decide how these things take place. This is important because, again, it underscores the feature of what this national government is. It's not a general-purpose national government. It's a limited-purpose federal government, where states come together for limited purposes under a certain set of circumstances in order to become one nation. It's important that states retain their autonomy and their sovereignty for the simple reason that from our very beginning,
ieri, però De Bortoli ha parlato chiaro e quando parla di massoneria e odore di massoneria, adesso ragazzi non è che possiamo dire che sta pensando alla massoneria come una cosa bella,
that Virginians and New Yorkers wouldn't necessarily
ognuno ha la sua opinione, è libero di pensare quello che crede. Io al direttore De Bortoli, quando era direttore del Corriere della Sera, risposi con una lettera quando parlò dell'odore stantio di massoneria. La massoneria non è stantia, la massoneria del grande Oriente d'Italia è presente, ha celebrato proprio ieri la breccia che porta via, ma l'ha celebrata all'insegna della solidarietà, invitando ad un dibattito il dottor Pietro Bartolo, il medico di Lampedusa che accoglie i migranti. C'è sintonia. Spero ora che non si dica che è massone anche lui.
Dopo magari qualche nome io proverò a farglielo fare. La massoneria è vero che sceglie o sceglieva i vertici del Monte Paschi di Siena?
There are some who have criticized the way we handle
una risposta alla Toscana, visto che
based on
parlo
the
da
fact
Firenze.
that we have
È una
50
colossale
independent
schierata.
systems.
Però
And
qualcuno
some
continua
complain about
Non scegliamo
There's
i banchi.
not the kind of uniformity.
no, dico, qualcuno continua a rimarcare questo fatto che Monte Paschi di Siena
There are instances
dicevamo,
where we
ha
have
odore di
either allowed
massoneria.
or disallowed certain
Ma
kinds
questo lo dice
of
lei, lo dice qualcun
election
altro. Ripeto,
related
Alessandro
laws to
Profumo
stand.
quando ha parlato a Siena durante
Term
la
limits
conferenza
versus
stampa
Thornton
non
in
ha detto
1995, the Supreme
assolutamente
Court struck
questo.
down
L'ultimo
as
massone,
unconstitutional
amministratore
a
del
state
Monte dei
law
Paschi,
imposed
valoroso
set of
amministratore,
term
è
limits for
stato
members
Loris
of Congress.
Capriccio alla
The
fine
Supreme
degli
Court
anni
said that
70,
this is adding
vicepresidente
to
di quella banca
the
quando era
constitutionally
istituto di
mandated
diritto
eligibility
è morto
requirements for
pochi anni
service
fa
Allora,
in the United
per-
States
dominio
Congress.
ha chiuso
Per evitare di dare l'impressione di essere un visionario, mi deve per piacere il titolo del fatto
In other
quotidiano, tra l'altro non
circumstances,
smentito
state
dal
laws have
diretto
been upheld.
interessato.
The Supreme
Allora,
Court, for example,
Profumo
has
parla proprio
upheld
e dice
as
ho visto i
constitutional
massoni
laws
all'opera,
governing who
parlando di
may
Monte
register
Paschi
vote,
di
how they
Siena.
register
L'ha
vote, how
detto
they
nel
prove
corso di
their
una
identity,
presentazione
and
di un
so
libro
A lot of it just
di
depends on
Innocenzi,
whether or
di
not
un
it's
banchiere.
deemed
Ha detto ho visto i
within the state's
massoni
authority
all'opera, quindi non sono un
to
visionario e non mi
manage
sto
its own
inventando le
elections.
cose.
If on the other hand it's determining eligibility
Bisi, ancora una
requirements for
domanda.
who may serve,
Nel governo
that's
Renzi
been
ci sono
deemed the
massoni?
Chiami Alessandro
of the
Profumo,
Constitution
chiami
alone,
chiami
not
Alessandro
something that the states can
Profumo
mess with.
in diretta,
There are a few things that are
sentiamo
controversial
che
about
cosa
Article
dice, chi
160.
sono i
Perhaps chief
massoni
among
che ha
them
incontrato,
relates
oltre
to
a me,
what's
che ho
known as
fatto
gerrymandering,
il giornalista
or the drawing
in quella
of
città.
legislative
Mi
boundaries.
chieda se io ho
In this
chiesto
case,
affidamenti o
drawing
cose
of congressional
strane, io
boundaries or
risponderò
congressional districts within a
serenamente.
particular state.
Quindi non
This
vedo
is something
il problema.
that
Ci sono
Congress
massoni nel
could, in
governo
theory,
Renzi? No,
direct
non ci
in
sono
one way or
massoni
another
nel
if it
governo
wanted.
Renzi.
And in
E
some
nel
ways it
Magico?
has. Congress has, for instance, outlawed the use of at-large
Il Magico mi pare
congressional
sia
districts.
un'entità abbastanza
Congress has,
complessa,
however,
non so
left to the
Dai, lei è
states the
toscano,
ability to draw
lei è
their
toscano,
Magico.
parla a Firenze, il Magico
registered
no,
by
io
law.
sono seneto,
This in
capito?
turn
Sono seneto,
reflects
ho detto parla a Firenze.
the view that states ought to be able
No,
to
le dico,
decide for themselves
le
how to
domando,
conduct
lei
elections.
conosce
It's also
massoni dentro
a
il
matter of some
cosiddetto giglio
controversy
magico?
how individual states run elections, including how they maintain
ma
their voter
no.
registration files. What it
No,
takes
non
to
sono iscritti al
register to
Grande
vote,
Oriente
what it
d'Italia e non
takes
credo
to
neppure
actually show
ad
up and
altre
cast a vote once you've been
comunioni
registered.
massoniche.
These
Matteo
are things that
Renzi,
by and large
l'ho
are
detto,
up to the
mi avete anche
discretion of the
incuriosito
individual
quando
state.
sono stato eletto
Some
2
people
anni
believe
e
that
mezzo
there
fa
ought to
e
be
si parlava
more
Renzi,
robust
massone,
requirements
Verdini,
regarding the
massone,
identification
altri massoni.
that has to be
Io sono
presented
andato a guardare
when you show up to
nell'archivio
vote.
del Grande
Some
Oriente
states
d'Italia, non li ho
require that,
trovati.
E non ha trovato anche
Soprattutto
qualche
non
nome
li ho
interessante
trovati
da
né-
dirci
but here
stasera?
again, this is up to each
Qualche
state.
nome
If a state
interessante nella
wants to make
politica,
certain
nelle altre
decisions,
istituzioni?
by and
Cosa
large, it has the
intende?
ability to do so under the Constitution.
No, sì.
Generally
non
speaking,
so chi è per
federal
voi
law
incontrato un
interessante
tubo.
e chi no.
prohibits
Per
the
me,
use of
lo sa per me chi è
at-large
interessante,
districts,
lo sa
meaning
chi è per me
district
interessante? Un fratello
consisting
che ho
of
incontrato
the
pochi
entirety of the
minuti
state,
fa
the only
durante
place
una
where that's
tornata
allowed
rituale a
is
cui
in
non
a
sono
state
voluto
that,
mancare.
based
Erano
on its
10 anni
population,
che non lo
is
vedevo,
entitled
l'ho
to
rivisto
only
in
one
carrozzella e l'ho
federal
abbracciato.
law.
Lo
Per
so,
me
a
è
lei piace
importante.
questa idea della massoneria buona, lo so,
Congress
però
can
detto
and
così,
occasionally
non
does
avete
step in.
nomi
But for the most
importanti
part,
nei
leaves it up to the
governi,
states to
non
decide
indicate nessuno nelle
how
banche,
the vote is
hanno contato un
conducted
tubo.
and to decide even the boundaries of a legislative district.
Che vuol dire
These
contare?
really
No,
are
contato un tubo,
essential elements
così le sue
to
risposte
state
smontano
sovereignty and to the state's
l'editoriale e il
ability to operate
pensiero,
as a
per esempio,
state.
di De Bortoli,
Because
tanto
states
che odore
have
stantio di
default authority
massoneria.
to operate in
Ma
this area.
De Bortoli
Because
non è la
for the
Corte
most
di
part,
Cassazione,
stays out
insomma, ha il
of the
diritto di
conduct
esprimere
of
le
these
idee
elections,
che
how
vuole,
they're actually
ovviamente
to
lo
be
rispetto, è un
executed
grande
and carried out.
giornalista, però
States
non
have
è
a lot of
detto che quello
latitude
che dice De Bortoli
to
sia la
decide
verità
things
assoluta.
like how to
C'è solo
handle
uno che c'ha
absentee
la
voting.
verità
From one state to
assoluta,
another, you're going to
non
have
è De
different
Bortoli,
opinions
e non sono
about
neppure io, il
how
grande
mail-in
architetto dell'universo.
ballots ought to be
Senta,
handled
ma
and whether
Draghi
they
è
should be
massone,
allowed.
perché anche quello è un nome che
The
si
bottom
fa
line,
spesso e
when it comes to
volentieri.
Article 1, Section 4, is that it sets up this dichotomy. It says
Questo
that
non è nel Grande
default
Oriente
is
d'Italia, io
states
non
get to
posso
decide
rispondere
rules
per
governing
tutte le comunioni
elections
massoniche. Il Grande
for
Oriente
choosing
d'Italia è quella
representatives
storica, in
and
Italia la più
in the United States
numerosa e
Congress.
presente in tutte
But
le
that
città
Congress
italiane,
can
però
step
ci sono
in
anche altre
and prescribe
organizzazioni.
rules where it chooses
Senta,
to do so.
un'altra domanda.
Generally speaking,
Lei parlò a
Congress
proposito
doesn't,
della situazione
but
di Siena di
sometimes it
groviglio
does. And when it
armonioso.
does,
Cosa
its
c'è di
rules
armonioso in
control.
un groviglio che
They
tra l'altro ha portato
dominate
a
and
vicende che
overtake
ben
what the state has
conosciamo?
chosen to do in this area. Thank you for
Perché
joining
lei
us
vede
today to
soltanto
discuss
una
Article 1,
parte
Section
della
4 of
storia
the
di Siena.
Constitution.
Quando
And
io
the
ho detto
Constitution
Oggi
is
vedo,
by
vedo,
law.
vedo
You've been enjoying
il
this
titolo
series?
di MPS
Please like
che
and
mi
subscribe.
sembra...
in loggia, e quindi anche lei farebbe bene a frequentare una loggia, si parla uno alla volta. Se lei mi interrompe non posso finire il ragionamento.
Prego.
Il groviglio armonioso di cui io ho parlato era un sistema di istituzioni pubbliche, di persone, di associazioni che per secoli ha fatto crescere la città di Siena, la comunità senese. Poi probabilmente negli ultimi tempi non c'è stato più un groviglio armonioso, non c'era più questo coordinamento. Sono nella prima Repubblica e prima ancora, è dal 1400 che esiste il Monte dei Paschi, è stato fatto crescere dai senesi.
Welcome back to
Ultimo nome,
Economy
vediamo se
Disrupted.
riesco a
I'm
fargliene
Matthew
dire uno.
Goodman,
Almeno
Senior Vice
Mussari
President for
era
Economics
massone
at
oppure no?
CSIS
Anche
in
quella è una
Washington,
leggenda
and we're just delighted to
metropolitana.
have you with us again today. I want to start by thanking our sponsor, Howmet Aerospace Corporation, for making this series possible. We very much appreciate the support of our sponsors. Thank you.
Sì o no? Le piace questa
And I'm Joanna Shelton, Senior Associate at CSIS and co-host today with Matt. In this series, we're taking a look at 4 key disruptors affecting the U.S. economy and U.S. international competitiveness. Those are trade, technology, climate change, and a changing workforce.
This week we're focused on economic disruptors in the great city of Phoenix, Arizona, and in a minute we'll be joined by the Phoenix mayor, but before we introduce her, we're going to play a short video to sort of set the scene, so please roll the tape.
Sì o no, secondo quelle che saranno le
Ringrazio Stefano Bisi, Gran Maestro del Grande Oriente d'Italia.
Built in 1867 on the Pueblo Grande at the junction of the Salt and Gila rivers. Phoenix's economy was initially centered around the 5 Cs: cattle, cotton, citrus, copper, and climate. The development of the railroad in 1887 allowed the local economy to expand beyond the original 5 cities. Motorola's arrival in 1949 shifted Phoenix's economy toward high-tech industries, ushering the arrival of electronics and aerospace companies such as General Electric and IBM. Today, Phoenix remains a regional tech hub with a flourishing biotechnology sector and Intel and Assassination calling the city home. The Phoenix metro area's biggest exports are electronic products, transportation equipment, and machinery, which are primarily exported to Mexico, Canada, and China. The city's largest employment sectors are trade, transportation, utilities, professional and business services, and education and health services. Climate change is a growing challenge in Phoenix, threatening the city's water supply, inducing urban heat islands, and producing more severe wildfires. The city plans to update its 2009 Climate Action Plan by investing $110 million in climate projects. Today, Phoenix's leadership has stated its commitment to diversify the economy, strengthening infrastructure investment, and working to make Phoenix a leader in sustainability.
And with that, we're delighted to be joined by the Mayor of Phoenix, Kate Gallego. Mayor Gallego, delighted to have you with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me to join the conversation.
All right, thanks. And let me say before I start asking the first question to our audience, you're always, as always, you're welcome to submit your own questions. There should be a link on your screen to which you can submit questions, and we'll be taking those after Joanna and I ask a few questions ourselves of the Mayor. So, Mayor Gallego, let me start with climate change. That's one of the issues that we've been tracking on this program, and of course, it's a national issue now. The Biden administration has been very focused on this in the last 8-9 months of its administration. It's hot in Phoenix, although I understand it's not yet 100 degrees today, but I guess it's going to be going up to 100 degrees. And more seriously, this changing climate has created a number of challenges in the state of Arizona and around Phoenix, wildfires and urban heat and water scarcity issues. And to meet this challenge, we understand you've got something called a plan to make the city heat ready, which is based, as I understand it, on something the National Weather Service has called Storm Ready. Can you explain a little what that means to our viewers who, like me, probably haven't heard of that term?
Absolutely. So the city takes heat and climate change very seriously. And I might start with a little bit just about my background. I hold an environmental studies degree, and my first involvement in the city was actually chairing what was then known as the Environmental Quality Commission, which advises the city on environmental issues. We helped the city develop the first renewable energy goal, the first climate action plan, which we are now updating and really improving upon. And one of the things that's been clear to me throughout my time, both as a volunteer and now as an elected official at the City of Phoenix, is that it requires a whole of government approach, that we need every part of the city, whether it's our public works folks who are in charge of trash recycling and buildings, to our streets department, to the folks who work in human services and serve our most vulnerable, to be looking towards climate change. So we developed a Heat Ready program to try to take what we had learned from heat and make it a replicable program that other cities could use. So how do you think ahead to what some of the challenges are going to be and prepare? This year it was something we were able to share a lot with communities in the Pacific Northwest. We had that significant heat wave in the Pacific Northwest, and many of those mayors hadn't had to deal with the climate change challenges we have. So we're hopeful by giving other communities a tool, and just can you think about how it affects all of your city operations and all of your residents, that you can be better prepared. Previously, many people put climate change just in one office, often environmental programs or whatever is the equivalent. And what we have found is that it is much broader than that.
Can you just give a couple of examples of how that works and what it's exactly going to do and how it's going to affect people's day-to-day lives?
We are really looking at our most vulnerable populations, and so where can people people go if they don't have access to air conditioning, water, how do we build transportation corridors, particularly in the area where people are most likely to be walking or bicycling that are cool. We're looking a lot at our built environment. We have the largest cool pavement program for American cities, and that's a program where we put a cooler colored coating on the streets. As my 4-year-old will often remind me, don't wear black when it's hot because you'll get much hotter. And we're taking that same common sense lesson to our streets. We have a great partnership with Arizona State University, and they just released data this week showing about a 10 to 12 degree local cooling effect, where we had that whiter coating on the streets. So it's still in pilot phase, but it's still the largest program of its type in the United States and has proven to be very successful. My father is not particularly interested in the science of atmospheric chemistry and climate change, but he does tell me if I do something about the heat in the summer, I'm likely to be able to continue in public life here. It is a good bipartisan issue.
Great. Well, that's really interesting, and I'm eager to learn more about those solutions. It's hot here in Washington as well, and we probably could benefit from some of those solutions. That's very interesting. Let me ask just one more follow-up, which is that's sort of an adaptation measure, but obviously to really deal with climate change, we're going to need to move away from fossil fuels and towards renewables and nuclear, and that's where I want to start, because you have one of the largest, if not the largest, nuclear power plants, 50 miles outside Phoenix, and that's obviously potentially one of the solutions to move away from fossil fuels, but there's some who say, among other controversial issues, that it's not as cost-effective, maybe, as solar or wind energy, and it uses a lot of water. And given the water challenges out there, maybe that's not the best answer for you. How do you think about that sort of combination of solutions of renewable nuclear energy?
The Palo Verde Nuclear Generating Station, which is in Arizona, is, at least at the time it was built, the largest inland nuclear power facility. The city does not operate a power company, but we are a partner indirectly because we take a lot of our wastewater and it goes towards that facility, and so there's a very significant pipeline out of Phoenix that goes to power that particular facility. It is most famous because it was being sited while Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was being filmed in Phoenix area, and there are a bunch of signs around it in the movie. So it's, oddly enough, when I most get asked about that particular facility is for particularly people of a certain generation. There was a lot of civic debate then, as there continues to be, about whether nuclear makes sense as an inland power generation facility, and certainly the water challenges are something we think about often.
Okay, well, let me turn it over to Joanna to take on the next topic.
Well, this is actually a good segue to the topic that I'm going to ask you about, and that is technology. My question is, what is it about Phoenix? I mean, you have attracted some of the world's and America's leading firms in semiconductors, biotechnology, aerospace, and defense. You have more firms, both from the United States and abroad, who are planning new investments in Phoenix. And the question is, how have you done this? Are there special business or economic policies that you have adopted? Is it your educational system, workforce preparedness, other factors? If you could just please explain how Phoenix has become such a central player in this high-tech world.
Thank you. It's taken a lot of preparation and great partnerships to get where we are. I would say number one has definitely been our people. We have the great university partners led by Arizona State University, perhaps the largest college in the country, producing a lot of talented graduates, and we have wonderful partners in our apprenticeship programs, community colleges, and others that are also helping with that manufacturing workforce. So the first thing I hear about when companies are looking here is the ability to hire the right talented workforce for technology fields. That is certainly true as well for biotech.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all. My name is Ali Velshi. I am a host with MSNBC here in the United States, and it is my absolute pleasure to be moderating the session, largely by accident. I'm a substitute in, but this was Providence because this is a topic I enjoy so much, and I have with us for the next little while three people who are very, very well positioned to have this remarkable conversation about data. With me on the screen, you can see Richard Edelman. He is the boss over at Edelman, which is one of the world's finest, most established corporate communications, public relations firm. He knows everything there is to know really about global business, and his organization has just released the Trust Barometer for 2021, which fits into our conversation about data very closely. Also with me, His Excellency Omar bin Sultan Al Alama. He is a minister of the State for Artificial Intelligence, amongst other things, in the United Arab Emirates, and he can tell us a lot about how government is contending with these issues around data security, efficiency, gathering, and I think most importantly, regulation, which takes me to Migat Dad, who is with the Digital Rights Foundation, where they are very, very concerned about both regulation and safety and how people benefit from this, what is probably the most important commodity we have in the 21st century, and that is our own information.
Well, that's
so
interesting
welcome
because
to
I know
all of
that
you.
in many cities around
I just want to give a quick outline of what this session is. My version of it, let me tell you what, probably the semi-official version of this is that we have to reorient data conversations around the world because they have to be designed in the interest of people and societies, not necessarily around the organizations or governments that capture that information. If we can empower people to enable their data flows and get some benefits from it, including personal services, help them make better informed decisions, and have more meaningful interactions with each other and with government, that would be a remarkable success. But if I were to give you my short version of what this panel is, it is that data is great and data is terrible. It is the thing that is going to keep us healthy and keep us safe and cure all of our illnesses because we can tell what they are. It is also something that can be very threatening to us, that can be used against us, and that we need to understand
so that campus actually started with professional
how much of it we own, how much of it we control, and what is fair to share with other people. So that is the context in which I want to begin this conversation. And Richard, you do this Trust Barometer every year, which is such a remarkable document, and it sort of gives you a sense of trust, which is the basis for democratic societies. It's the basis for people's interaction with each other, their interaction with the law, and their interaction with their governments, and their interaction with businesses. And as it relates to this question of data, your barometer indicates that trust as it relates to governments is declining or did decline in 2020. So we're moving into this world where my government or businesses around me are calling for more data, more of my information. There's no transaction I can undertake that does not involve me giving more data over. How does that square with the idea that we trust government less, and maybe by extension we trust corporations less too?
So, Alec, what happened last year is that trust in government spiked up substantially in the sort of May period because it was like World War II. It was the big hammer, and it could actually save people. And trust in government has ebbed profoundly in the subsequent 6 months. And business is pretty flatlined through this period, and business therefore has become the most trusted institution, 10 points ahead of government. And so what we see, though, 2 other data points. There's a decreasing willingness of people to share their data such that government can track them in order to calm down the COVID crisis. So it started again very high in sort of March, April, and now in 20 out of 28 countries, it's below the trust level. It's below 60%. And
they pick the city in which they want to live before applying for jobs. In the majority of cases, they'll certainly not all. And
also,
having
we
the
find
best state
that
of the
only
art
4 in
equipment
10 are
mattered, but
prepared
also
to
just
share
having
their
a
data
great
with brands
community where you can
because they feel somehow that they're not
enjoy
getting a sort of equal
outdoors, amenities,
exchange of
and then have
value.
good schools
And so,
for your
and
kids.
lastly,
We have a
Alan,
bioscience
it's
high school in
important to
the
note
area,
that trust
and that
in
has been
tech
also very
has
helpful.
declined
We have parents who
substantially,
care so
such
much
that
about
it's just
their
over
kids' future, and when
pharmaceuticals
those
now,
top
just over
scientists
food
are
products.
picking
So
locations.
it used to be by
That's been
far
an
ahead of
attractive
all the other sectors. And a lot
sounds
of
like
this
quite
has
an
to do with
infrastructure there, an
suspicion, not just
ecosystem
about
for
size, but
innovation
also about data
and tech.
privacy.
If I can just
we're going to come back to this. Thank you. Minister, trust in government is different in different places. As you know, we just had an experience in the United States where there are a whole lot of people who don't even trust that the election was fair, and trust in government, as Richard has said, has been ebbing in the United States for some time.
And I'm just wondering,
But
given the
we are
stresses
going to
caused by
rely
climate
upon
change
governments
and
to
the stresses on the water
regulate
supply,
privacy
how
and
do you
data and
deal with
keep
these
us
trade-offs
safe.
here?
That's a
Big job
very tough
creators,
issue when
big,
they're
they
not
generate a lot in the
when they don't
economic,
entirely trust governments. What's your
engine for
position
Phoenix,
as a
but
gatherer
how can
of
you make
data,
sure that there's enough
as a
water
minister
available
who
in the
deals
future
with technology and data
not
and
only
artificial
tech
intelligence,
production, but also
and as a
other
regulator of
businesses,
data
households,
on how to
and other
address
users?
this issue? How do we deal with data when
We
people don't
take
trust that you're supposed
our
to have it?
commitment to provide water incredibly seriously. We have a state law that requires us to have an 100-year water supply, and so we look very closely at how we are able to meet that. Phoenix has a diverse water system that serves our community. We are served by several different river systems, and that helps a lot if there is, for example, drought in one system. That has sometimes helped us with having water coming from more areas. We also have a robust groundwater supply, and we are adding to that so that if we should have an even longer sustained drought, that will give us options. And then we have partnerships with several cities in our community as well as tribal communities that give us more water supplies on which to draw. So we've really tried to build an incredibly diverse water system with a lot of infrastructure. But we also put conservation as one of our key values. We recognize that we are a desert city, and we ask everyone in our community to take that seriously with their decisions.
Well, thank you. And with that, over to you, Matt.
Okay, so let me try another topic, if we can. You're very kind to go so broad across a number of interesting topics to us, at least. And this is trade. So trade is something that's very much a part of the conversation here in Washington. It's a controversial issue, and a lot of people think it's a disruptive force that we should somehow try to reduce or avoid the pain of trade. But our sense from other mayors and governors we've talked to is that the perspective on trade out in the rest of the country may be a little bit different from the conversation we're having here in Washington. I wonder kind of what does trade mean? It's a part of your economy, and a lot of jobs related one way or another to trade. How do you think about that out in Phoenix?
Global companies employ about 88,000 residents in the Phoenix region, and then we have very robust trade partnerships led by our relationship with Mexico. That is our top trading partner, and then significant, as you said in the introduction, partnerships globally, including with Canada. We see a lot of foreign direct investment from Canada and companies that are helping us, whether it be give the equipment to modernize actually a lot of our water equipment. Canadian companies have partners with us on, we have found that it has helped improve the daily lives of our residents.
Because right from the Digital Rights Foundation website, it says that you are aiming to protect and support human rights, democratic processes, and digital governance, which is fantastic, because those are the very things that we're talking about right now. In the United States, I'm surprised that we're talking about democratic processes, but we actually are. So given what Richard has said about trusting governments, given what the minister has said about articulating the four questions,
things like grocery stores, just however many people you have
on a yardstick of how we are developing data collection, data protection, and data regulation right now. And as we are growing exponentially on these fronts, what is it you want everybody to be thinking about, including people like Richard who represent business and people like the minister who represent government?
Since we've had Taiwan Semiconductor investment, we now have
when it comes to government,
elementary schools that are trying to change their language language program, and it's changing our restaurants. It's looking like quite likely it will change our air service and what type of flights you can get in and out of Phoenix. And it's just,
it's a very
every day I sort of
relationship.
learn
The power dynamics are very
become more diverse.
And then
with
the
those
divide becomes
big
more wider when you talk about global
Well, you
north and global
anticipated
south.
my
So, for
follow-up,
instance,
which
we are
was
talking
about,
about data protection
the
or right to
foreign
privacy.
investment that you had
In global south or
Phoenix
developing
and
countries where
Arizona more
citizens
broadly,
are not
but
even
particularly
aware
this,
that right to privacy or
Taiwan,
data protection is their
semiconductor
fundamental right
manufacturing company, which
enshrined in the Constitution.
has,
So there
I
is
guess,
a lack of
artistic direction there,
awareness
but is
within
talking
the
about
masses. But at the same time, when you look at the governments, they are trying to regulate
which I guess will
internet,
come
but at the
online
same
in
time collecting
2024 or
more
something.
data without any
I guess you sort of
transparency and
anticipated this, but
accountability.
how did you
But at the same time, when you look at EU or you look at UK or US, at least people are aware, as Richard mentioned, the trust deficiency with the government, with the tech giants, and people are more careful about their data. That is not the case with the developing countries. So
great
I
semiconductor
feel
ecosystem
while
we
the
already
conversation
have was
now,
important.
it's
They did want the
around
land to go to a
democratic
technology
processes happening
campus,
all over the world,
which we
especially
had
after the US
available.
incident. I
They
think we
cared a
really
lot
need
about
to
the
take
ability to
everyone
continue to operate
with us, in these
throughout
conversations, because
here, and
tech
Phoenix
giants, when they are
blessed with
operating,
more
they are operating all
reliable
over the
weather.
world, right?
It will be, that is how
And
the
they are
weather will be in
collecting,
Phoenix
processing,
almost every day of the year, and that
God
is
knows what
important
they're
in
doing with our
semiconductor
data, right?
manufacturing, because
They
if
are
the
still
facility goes down for
accountable
power
and
concerns,
answerable
it's
to the
incredibly
people
expensive.
and to the governments in the Western
with the
world and the
aftermath
developed world. They go to the Congress and respond to the
And I can tell you,
sanctions there,
I
right?
was talking to
How
a
we are going
gentleman who's a
to
pipe
hold
fitter.
them
He
accountable
was
when it
originally
comes to
working
our
on building an
governments.
Intel
And I
fabrication
think we are
plant in
very, very
the
far
greater Phoenix
behind
area,
in
and
the
is
debate
now going to
around
work
data
for
protection,
TSMC
for
for
instance. We are still lucky in Pakistan that we have a data
more than what
protection
he was
bill
making before, which was
that
a
is
very
under consideration with the
significant
government. But when this
salary,
bill
and
is
just
going to be
seeing
passed,
how
the
what
conversation
that
with
means
the
for his
masses is
kids
still
and the next
something that
generation
we
and
feel
his
that
family was
there is a
cool to
gap.
see sort of
The
on a
conversations are
micro
happening,
level,
but
because
more
sometimes
on
this
the
may
government
get
side, more on the tech
in the
giant side,
macro.
but end
We
users
did
are not part
negotiate
of
that
those
deal
conversations,
during
and
my
I think
first year
that's
as
where we
mayor. It
really
was
need
actually
to
my
work.
first
That's
international
a
trip.
great point, Richard.
And
I want to come
did
back to
have
that.
some rookie mayor moments.
There's so many
So we
different
had,
aspects to this.
we were in the
Regulating
community that has
users of
the tech park
information,
in Taiwan,
monetizing it for
we were
consumers.
eating a very large
Is there
lunch.
value to my
They
data,
did very
or is
well
it
in
only
Taiwan.
value when
And they brought out
aggregated? In the
multiple
United
courses,
States,
and they were
the
all
attention,
sitting there, and I
as
was very
Nigat says,
hungry,
has
and
been on
smelled
tech
amazing,
giants.
and no one was
But
eating.
you and I have both watched those
And one of the
hearings
people
that
from the
they
U.S.
have in
Commercial
Congress,
Service had to
and
be
it
like, no
does
one's
not
going to eat
fill
until
me
you
with
eat.
warmth and confidence
So
to see
I was starving
the
everyone.
fact that
I'm glad I didn't
you've got a bunch
blow
of
the deal.
relatively
I
old
was trying to be
legislators
polite, but
staring at
I
their
just know
phones,
I
not
had
understanding how
to
social
be
media works. This is a much more
that's
sophisticated
the thing out
conversation.
there.
And if
So,
we get it
so
wrong
that's
right
great. So
now,
it does require
governments will
actually
get regulation
working,
wrong,
with,
companies will get this wrong.
these partners
What,
to
in
try
your
to,
opinion, because you speak to both business leaders
traveling
and
to
government,
them
is the right way
try
to
pull them
approach
in and make the case,
governance
and
of
then
data
providing, I think,
in a way that builds
anticipated
confidence? Because
again, something
really,
I
if
was
we get
gonna
this
ask
wrong,
about
I don't even know what the
new
landscape
restaurants,
looks
the
like.
schools, Mandarin language
So, Ali,
programs and
you
things
and I have been
in Phoenix that
around
both
long enough to understand
as a result
that
of this investment, but
if
also
you wait,
maybe helps
then
encourage
government
additional
overreacts. That
inbound
there's a
investment.
huge problem,
Is that
and
the right
then
way to think
there's
about
a
that? Those are the
popular
kinds of things
outcry,
that the
and then
city
of course
benefits from,
legislators have to
but has
attack.
to do as
The
well
smart
to
move
attract
by business right now,
investment that creates
since
jobs.
the number one
We
trust
very much
building
hope to attract the
actual
entire
thing to do
ecosystem
is
around
protect
TSMC. We hope
information
their
quality.
suppliers will find Phoenix to
that
be an
We
attractive
should
market
propose a scheme
to do
that
business,
works
and
in a way that
they will
is
then
self-regulating,
make
but
investments
also has
in
government
Phoenix, and we're
establish
trying
the playing
to
field.
make sure we set
That,
aside
in other words,
land
within the field, you
to
can play the
accommodate
game.
again that entire tech park and
Minister,
ecosystem, so
you
it's not
should
just TSMC,
opine on
but
this,
the
but
other companies that are
the
key.
parameters
And
of
then
the
we
field,
want, again, as
more or
much of
less,
the
the
supply
players
chain
need to
to
see.
be interested as
I
possible.
think, like the clinical trial data that
continue to
pharmaceutical
make those
companies have to
investments,
present
and I have
when they
committed
do
to
new
folks that
drugs.
our dumpling game is
You guys
just going to
totally
continue
right.
to
We have
improve
to
as we have
explain
more
how we're
Taiwanese
doing what we're doing.
investments.
That this
Perhaps
is not
from a
some
CSIS
mysterious black
perspective,
box, which is
to
totally
know that
controlled
while I was there,
by tech giants.
was regularly thanked for some of the things
the
one of
people
my predecessors as a Phoenix elected official did, Barry Goldwater.
Means of self-regulation is the
So he, 40 years ago, helped set up the sister-city relationship between
Minister,
Phoenix
let's touch
and
on that for a moment. Let's talk about
Taipei.
what that field of play looks like, because we've got competing interests here when it comes to information. Richard makes the point, quality of information is useful, right? It's only useful if both companies and individuals and government can use that information for the betterment of society. We got these talking about people's rights. Here in America, there is a conversation about freedom of speech on the internet, and as Richard just mentioned, someone needs to regulate something. There's a fear by tech companies and freedom of speech advocates that if you give it to government, they will put a lid on it. There's a fear by governments of other things. So tell me, in your opinion, what that framework looks like and how you propose constructing it and executing it.
Absolutely. I'd like to actually combine both points
particular areas. One that I think CSIS has done a lot of work in that area. These are complicated issues. It's going to be an interesting year for that global relationship on this.
Yeah, thanks. Well, no, that is a very important set of issues that we're focused on. As I knew about Senator Goldwater's involvement in the Taboo Relations Act but not about city relations programs. So that's an interesting connection. And there's a lot more to ask you about that set of issues, but I don't want to abuse our time here. So I'm going to move on to Joanna again, but let me just again encourage the audience. Some questions coming in, so we welcome more. So please submit your questions on your screen. And with that,
well, thank you, Matt. And Mayor, our last topic of discussion this morning, at least the questions that Matt and I are going to ask, is about workforce. We talked earlier about the tech sector and its importance in job creation, but other sectors are also employers. As the video pointed out, we have major employment in trade, transportation, utilities, professional and business services, and education and health services. And my question to you is, how do you prepare your workforce for the jobs and skills that are needed by today's employers in such a wide diversity of fields, and what special challenges do you face in this area?
Thank you. This is an area we work on a lot, and I have the privilege of leading the U.S. Conference of Mayors Committee on Jobs, Workforce, and Education, with some of the thought leaders in this area. Good news from Phoenix is that as of August 31st, we recovered 99.3% of the jobs that we lost during the pandemic, but we've obviously seen some shifts. We're talking a lot at the city about retail and hotel and tourism job loss, what we expect in terms of recovery in those areas. Much more employment in some of the more logistics-driven industries, supporting companies such as Amazon. And at the moment, we are thinking some of those shifts
Thank you for that. The term rights has come up in every conversation here, and it happens to be the name of your organization. When it comes to data rights, digital rights, those rights need to be protected. How you manage between the rights of companies that say they need to be protected, the rights of individuals in civil society that need to be protected, and particularly because I got a question on this in the chat, the rights of people who you mentioned.
When I study planning and zoning in a classroom, they say you have this many people, and so you should set aside so many square feet for retail. And at this point in Phoenix, we are going to just let the private market respond and see what we are needed
marginalized communities in
that area,
our countries that don't even know that
permanent shifts that come out of this time frame.
So
as we invest in our workforce, we are trying to
work together, but at the same
allow
time,
governments
and companies
that
they need to be
offer
transparent and to speak to
partnership with
what we see in our countries that tech giants face to the government, and we
absolutely
have no idea what are the conversations that are taking happening behind the scenes, right? So I think responsibilities that I see when it comes to government. One is that when you are talking to companies, you need to be transparent, and tech giants also need to be transparent and open, because they are answerable to the end users, the ones who
overwhelmingly at the moment.
right?
Because as the minister
said
with the TSMC
that's
plant manager.
generally
They have
true,
hired
except that a
everyone
whole
in the
bunch of
electronics
people younger
program at
than
our
me,
community
generally
college
speaking,
and would hire more
don't know what that deal
had
is,
the
right? I came
opportunity
from
to
a
do
pre-digital
so.
world,
So
so I understood that going into Google Maps is a great trade-off
like
because
that.
I never have to
Those
look
are
at maps and things
amazing
like that.
jobs that
Do the young native generation, the digitally
salary
native generation,
potential.
understand that anybody's answerable to them, or do they just enjoy a free internet?
To have
So I
the
think
salary your parents
most
may
of
not
the people,
determine
especially in our country,
the
they
salary
think
that
that
and so we're looking at areas
internet,
like
having
healthcare,
access to internet is a luxury,
manufacturing,
right? So it's like
export-oriented areas
they
as those
feel
where
that
research tells us you're the
being
most
on
likely to be able
Facebook
to
or
make
Twitter or
that
like all these platforms,
jump.
that's
We
kind
also
of
have a
they
huge
don't think
nursing
that's
shortage,
their
which
right,
I
that
think
it's
is
a
true
luxury.
mayor
And
in
to
the
be very
country.
honest, there's a huge digital
trying
divide,
to, at the moment,
and
address some of
that
the bottlenecks.
emerged
We just
a
have to
lot
do
when
clinical
the
rotations.
COVID
So how
happened
can
and the
we all
lockdown
partner
happened in Pakistan. So
There's
for
actually more
instance,
people
even
wanting
in
to
our
be
country,
nurses
there are
than
many people
slots
in
to
the
train
urban
them at the
areas
moment,
have
and that
access
feels
to the
like the
internet
kind of
and somehow know what their
that we
digital
can
rights
solve.
are.
Secretary
But
Walsh, the
people
US
sitting in
Labor Secretary, is
Balochistan or
actually
sitting
just
in
here
Khyber
meeting with some of
Pakhtunkhwa
our
or even
nursing
young people
educational
who had to
partners,
go
and
back to their towns,
we
they
talked about
couldn't
some of
do
the national
online learnings or
partnerships that might help
participate in
us
their online
as
education.
well.
So, we saw
we are
that
trying to think
massive
about
digital divide
how
that
do we open
emerged during
doors for
COVID.
people to
So I
have
would say that people, even young people understand that digital rights is actually their rights, which is enshrined in the Constitution, and that applies not just the fundamental rights that are mentioned in the Constitution are not just for offline spaces, that are also for online spaces. And I think for that, communities, organizations really need to work together, and government has a huge role to talk about those rights, because education, for instance, interpreting these rights in a way that people should know that our rights apply in the online spaces as well while they are using it.
So, Minister, let me ask you about that, because in the United States, as you know, we've had a conversation in the last several months about freedom of speech. So it's a different issue than data privacy. And people being able to say things and disseminate them at the speed at which the internet and social media can do so may have had a detrimental effect on democracy. And I cannot believe I'm saying this, because I am such a major defender of the freedom of speech, and it's so integral in the United States. But actually, it has made some contribution to an attack on democracy and what Richard talks about, further destruction in the level of confidence in government. I think you see things a little bit differently in the UAE than we do in the United States. Tell me about what role you have as a regulator in terms of political speech and how you think about that.
If you could maybe just tell a little bit more about what you're doing for that segment of your workforce.
So first, starting with how to get skills and upskill our workforce. We actually will be focused on that on our council meeting this week, and we're trying to do a significant partnership with the community college to help people get the key credentials in this area. One of the things that's important to me is that we do wraparound services, so it's not just like here's tuition to go to school, but can there be mentorship and people who've succeeded in the career paths who can help you understand how it works and what are both the key credentials but also other ingredients needed for success. So we're very much hoping, again, looking at sectors where we know there are jobs to invest. We have a great community college system, and they are a key partner in that particular area. For our small businesses, we've also set aside dollars specifically for small businesses from the ARPA program, and that was done intentionally to make sure that we invest in workforce in the area. Originally, when we surveyed our small businesses, they said at the beginning of the COVID pandemic that what they needed was direct grants. Many of them, particularly our solo entrepreneurs, had a hard time qualifying for the federal program, and so we really tried to fill in that gap. We surveyed several thousand businesses at the beginning, just saying, what do you need from us? How can we help? So first we started with the grant program, and then we developed something called a small business toolkit, which helps address the challenges that our small businesses facing. That includes access to capital. We have a great partnership with Kiva in that area. Also, just help with a small business owner has to become an expert in everything, and so can we help you, whether you need help with accounting or permits or whatever it may be. We partner with a lot of the incubators in that area. The co-working spaces, it turned out, maybe weren't as focused during
Richard, I always enjoy listening
on
to
the
people from
physical
other parts
space,
of the world
but they
talk
had a
with
lot of
reverence about
resources
this great
capacity
system we've got
to
in the
help
United
us
States that
support our
balances
small businesses,
these
and
different
that
parts of
turned out
power
to
and
take,
includes civil
a
society
real silver
and
lining
government
for us, where we developed
and corporations.
a lot
Because
of
right now,
stronger
Richard, you and I sitting here in the United States, it can feel very, very broken
some of the companies
with
are
respect
happy
to
to
this
get help
particular
directly
issue
from the city, but in
that
others,
Nigan is talking about and that the minister is talking about. What are the next steps that we should take? It does appear that the world looks to America to take leadership in these things, and they're looking at America right now saying, you all haven't figured this out very well. So whether it's internet safety and freedom of speech, data gathering, monetization of data, where does the leadership come from right now? Because I'm not sure most Americans would say, perhaps most people in the world would say, I'm waiting for Congress to sort this out.
Well, I think it's a moment where business actually has to lead, Alec, because it's the most trusted institution. There has to be a scheme put forward that ensures the quality of information. Let's start there. We have an epidemic. We have a serious problem where 2/3 of people say our leaders are liars. It has to do with hydroxychloroquine and remdesivir and all these other things. And, even to wear a mask or you do, it's just too many
that I want to extend
period of time and not substantiated and made up for political purposes. And unfortunately, media has played into this because it's now into the drug office. The left, right, that which I agree with. Only 18% of climate change, but I actually trust the media at all. So they get their information direct from Donald Trump.
そういうわけでした。以上。